Folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for week ending August the 4th for the City of Toronto. Sales are the lowest they've been all year. A quick thank you to those of you that are using the link to my calendar in the description to reach out to me. We set this up a while ago. It's so convenient. Basically, if you want to talk to me anything related at all to real estate, in the description below you'll find a link to my calendar. Just book a time that makes sense for you, and this way I'll know ahead of time and I'll make sure my schedule is free and we could talk about whatever's important to you related to real estate. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button so you're reminded of when these videos come up. Today I'm talking about Toronto in this video, but on different days of the week I talk about all the GTA. I deal with Peel, Durham, York region. I deal with the luxury market, all coming out on different days. So with subscribing and hitting the bell button, you'll be notified when these new videos come up. You know, those of you joining us for the first time, listen, I'm a full-time realtor, so is everybody on my team, and we work with buyers and sellers every single day. And just a quick story, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be doing what I'm doing. So we took on this listing and we sold it last week, but the background story is this property was on the market previously with somebody else about 4 weeks sooner. They had an offer date set up. Things didn't work out. The seller, somebody that actually watches these YouTube videos, and decided to reach out to me. We talked about a different strategy. We talked about, I saw the home, beautiful home. I looked at it, I looked at the situation, looked at the whole neighborhood, the market, and decided that let's go put it back on the market, but not with an offer date. Well, I'm happy to say that we sold the property about $70,000 more than what they were offered on an offer night. And this is the part that really gets me excited about what I'm doing. We did a great job for sure, but this family can now move on to the next part of their life with an extra $70,000 in their pocket. That's what makes me really proud of what I'm doing. And you know, there's all sorts of great realtors out there. It's so important that the proper strategy is used. And sometimes you've got to, you know, as the seller, decide what makes sense and what doesn't based on the advice that you get from whoever your consultant to use as your realtor. Let's get into the numbers. So I have just the City of Toronto for detached properties. And like I said, sales, we sold 141. It's the lowest it's been all year. For sure there was a holiday Monday in there, but still, it's the lowest it's been all year, barring just a couple of weeks, first 1 or 2 weeks of January. But that's just for dramatic effect that I'm saying it this way. I got to tell you, look at some of the other things going on. So the amount of property selling at $2 million or more is 30. We sold 30 of those, and that's also a low number, and that's all related to the amount of sales. But look at average sold price. It went up a little bit. Last week, the average sold price for detached in Toronto was $1,642,000. And for the previous 8 weeks, its average sold price has been kind of steady. So although sales are down, well, let's think about it. We're now into the beautiful, beautiful, warm, hot days of August. We've been locked up for such a long time. The economy's starting to open. The days are beautiful. Let's get out, let's have some fun, and that's what I think is on most people's minds right now. And typically this time of the year, sales, real estate sales does take a back seat and kind of calms down a little bit. But if your plan is real estate, there's lots of opportunities out there. And like I just said earlier in my story, there's so many opportunities to either sell at a great price or to buy at a great price right now. If we look at Toronto and break it down into 3 different sections, the blue is Central Toronto, average sold price came down, and the burgundy here is East Toronto, so East York and Scarborough, average sales price went down, And the orange line here, that's West Toronto. So everything west of Dufferin, average sold price went way up. So different buying experiences in different parts of Toronto. And I'm breaking it down just in 3 sections. Imagine if you break it down further into neighborhood or just a few blocks around your house, different buying experiences. So I'm breaking it down in a different way now. So here's, again, this line here is the city of Toronto, the way I showed it on the first chart. Average sold price has been pretty steady. But if we look at prices under $2 million, which is the orange, average sold price went up a little bit. But over $2 million, average sold price went way up to almost 3.1 million for the average sold price. A big jump from the previous week. So it's not just areas that change the way prices are behaving and your experience if you're a buyer or seller. It's also price. What price point are you at? Because properties listed at $1 million are behaving way different, and it's a whole different buying or selling experience than properties listed at $3 million. Getting back to Toronto as a whole, for detached properties only, we're 3% higher than last year's average sold price. That might not sound like a lot when we were looking at 10s and 7% higher, but last year we sold 45 properties at this time at $2 million or more. This year, 30. So 15 less properties at $2 million, and we're still 3% higher than last year's average sold price. Looking at sales, so last year at this time it was a whole different world with what was going on with this whole health crisis, and the blue is last year's sales. So this year they're starting to come down a little bit. We sold 53% of these 141 properties at list price or more. So that's kind of average. Half the properties are selling at list price or more. It's still fairly competitive on about half the properties that are out there. And looking at listings, listings is way down, 217 listings. So less sales, less listings. Months of inventory has come up a little bit to 1.5 months of inventory. It's still very much a seller's market. As months of inventory go up, usually average sold price comes down, but this is still quite low. So average sold price really doesn't know how to behave right now. And looking at DOM, days on market, last week the average was 14 days on market. This week we're sitting at 19 days on market. So properties have been taking a little bit longer to sell, but you know, I got to say, days on market is the number is really tough to take into consideration, thinking, oh, it's going to take on average 19 days. That's the average. However, because half the properties are being sold at list price or more, many of those are set up as an offer date. So it's 7 days from now, 10 days from now. So the days on market is artificially higher on purpose than what it would normally be. If we put a rule that said no offer dates, things will sell as fast as they sell, days on market will probably be half, because a lot of these properties would be selling on day 1 or day 2. So breaking things down for months of inventory now in the 3 parts of Toronto, I have West Toronto here. Days on market in West Toronto is 17. Half of those, 50%, sold at list price or more. And we're currently, for this week ending August 4th, 4% higher than last year's average sold price. We have Central Toronto here, detached, the months of inventory sitting at 2.5. So things are taking longer in Central Toronto to sell. The days on market are 22 days on market. A third, 31%, are selling at list price or more. So it's a whole different buying experience between West, Central, and then again you'll see in East. But Central also has the lion's share of the luxury market, and they just would normally take a little bit longer to sell. And we're sitting at 3% higher than last year's average sold price. And looking at the East, an average sold price has come way down, but the East York and Scarborough has seen some remarkable price growth. Well, days on market is 18, sold at list price or more is 70%. So it's a whole different buying experience. If I go back, days on market for Central, sold at list price or more for Central is 31%, 50% for the West, and the East, 70% are sold at list price or more. A different buying experience altogether, and we're sitting at 6% higher than last year's average sold price. Let's look at semis here. Semis, 63% sold at list price or more. Days on market is 14. Months of inventory is sitting at 0.9. Very competitive. When we look at towns, months of inventory is 1.3, came down slightly. 69% sold at list price or more, and days on market is average 18 days on market. Okay, we're going to get into the condo space right now. So when we're looking at sales, you know, we sold 308 condos last week. That's over the last 2 months, that's been pretty consistent. Except for the 1 week, we've been over 300 condos being sold every week. 30 of them sold at $1 million or more, which is more than it's been for the last month and a half. And average sold price is sitting at $717,000, which is up from the previous week. And if we average out over the last month and a half or two, average sold price for condos has also been pretty steady. And now we're seeing that sales are also pretty steady. Compared to last year, we're sitting at 9% higher than last year's average sold price. Now last year we sold at this time 17 at $1 million or more. This year we sold 30, big difference. So we should have a higher average sold price this year because of the amount of condos selling at much higher prices. When we look at the 308 compared to last year, it's actually not so far off from what we were selling in condos this time last year, and about half, 49% are selling at list price or more. So you see how the market in general, not just for condos and detached, it's becoming more calm. It's more steady, more calm. We're not seeing the across the board where 70-80% selling at list price or more. I assure you, 70-80% selling at list price or more, if you're a buyer, feels like almost all properties there's competition. But at 50%, excuse me, you got properties sitting out there for a little while, or you got time to, here's the thought, you're in a position, if you're a buyer, to actually put a financing or a home inspection condition. It's difficult to do that. It works against you if there's multiple offers. So half of those selling at list price or more. Listings compared to last year are way down, but it was a different world last year. We listed 556 condos. Months of inventories holding strong at 1.6 months of inventory. That helps to understand why sales are not coming down, because we're sitting in a seller's market. And days on market went from 19 to 21 days, average days on market. A quick summary of all the months of inventory. Some are up slightly, some are down slightly, some didn't move compared to what it was last week. But when you see months of inventory like this, those people that are into predictions and always want to hear, what do you predict, what do you predict? I got to tell you, as long as months of inventory stay this low, I don't expect prices to change much. Yeah, you can get fluctuations week by week, but it's still very much a seller's market. We're very tight on inventory. Yes, there's less buyers, but there's also less sellers, keeping the market very tight, very competitive still. And well, this is kind of where we are now. Is it going to change over the next couple of weeks in August? I don't know. It hasn't changed for a while. And this is what we're bringing into the fall. So it's going to be interesting. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Thanks for watching. Comment below. Have a great day.